Dave's still out, but good afternoon to you on this Wednesday afternoon, July 1st, 2020. The downhill slide of 2020 starts today. Boy, wasn't that scaling Mount Everest to get to June 30th? We made it. Now we're into the back half of the year, and we hope for better tidings for one and all the rest of 2020. It has been something this first half of the year. Today is 100 days without sports for this calendar year. If we hadn't had those 12 days of golf over the last 3 weeks, look where we would be. Because really, we don't count that, Drew, going into the year with our NFL, college football, NBA, college basketball, Major League Baseball is something every day. But it was a bridge for us. We needed it. And the PGA Tour, they're gonna play tomorrow in Detroit. If they get through this weekend at Detroit, they have really accomplished something these last 4 weeks. And I say that because of how hard hit illness and health-related wise Detroit and the state of Michigan it was hit, and how locked down and controversial for it to reopen. Even when that revised schedule came out, I know I did. I said, no way they play that tournament in Detroit. But they're going to try, and we're going to try this back half of the year, aren't we, Drew Barrett?
Yeah, we are. And it feels like it took a miracle for us to make it here to the second half of 2020. And, you know, you see a lot of the stuff on social media about how far we're down here at halftime of the year. But I'd put money on us to somehow get back and tie the score by New Year's Eve.
It would be a comeback of epic proportions, similar to the Jim Kelly, but I think Frank Reich was in there that day, comeback against the Houston Oilers. That was one of the planks in getting the Oilers out of Houston. After that, the city really kind of balked on them, quit on them. They thought they quit in that game. I think it was 35-3, the comeback that the Bills made that day. Yes, we definitely are behind. We might need a Hunter Henry heave in the second half of 2020.
Yeah, we're definitely going to need to put some points on the board here in the third quarter. If we can at least get a vaccine by halfway through the fourth, I think we've got a real solid chance. But definitely going to need some points on the board here very, very soon.
Running the vaccine would be out there like, I don't know if you remember it. You might have been a little guy, but the old days on Super Bowl Sunday when they had the Bud Bowl, do you remember that at all in the advertising?
Yeah, I've seen old commercials about it, like the Budweiser helmets versus the Bud Light helmets.
Well, and then the year that Budweiser rolled out the big 40-ouncer, knocked the stadium lights out. I mean, it was like Refrigerator Perry coming in. That would be the vaccine. That's what we need. We need the big 40-ouncer rolling into town and knocking everything out. We may need a John Wilfong miracle shot like in that comeback the Tigers pulled off one time. This would be a U.S. Reed half-court buzzer beater if we can pull off this second half, but we're going to try. You know, we talked yesterday of the fragility and the tenuousness of really each and every day. And I know nobody likes living like that. I sure don't. I like to be very planned out. You know,
yeah,
I know. I'm pretty organized, to the minute type person, right, Carl? I like it to the minute. I like it right on time, don't I, Carl?
Yes, you do.
very, very, very much so. But we're not really living like that right now, and I know that 59 days out from college football, it'd really be fun getting into the swing of that countdown, but we're not. 29 days until the WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational. That'd be 4 weeks from tomorrow, and I hope the PGA Tour and the combatants, the competitors, the participants, at least they are out there. I promise you, and don't need a pat on the back, not playing it for that reason whatsoever. If I'm not out there, if I can't go, that's fine, because I know I'll be able to again, and I know that I've been able to plenty of times in the past. So if we have to have that 1 year of limited whatevers out there, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be fine regardless of whether I'm out there or not, as long as it still goes on, because of how much it does showcase this city that I love so much. It showcases a great company like FedEx. It showcases a great hospital and all the great things that St. Jude does for not just childhood cancer research, but all types of cancer research, and really helps put that on the front of people's minds, and increases some donations throughout the country through during that week. So as long as St. Jude can still be one of the biggest parts of that weekend, I'm fine regardless of whether I've been there or not, because I've had more access than 95% of people in Memphis to these golfers before, and I know I'm going to have it again. So just like you, as long as it goes off without a hitch and there really isn't that much drama around it, as if there's patrons there, great. If there's not, I'll take it either way.
And that's through two very different perspectives. Someone that first started going to that tournament in 1980. For you, I'm going to say 2008, 9, something like that.
Maybe a little bit before that. Probably about 2004, 5, around the age of 9 to 10, when my dad could trust that I would be still and be quiet.
I didn't go till I was 18 years old, and I promise you, and a great crew that took me, that really introduced me to golf, and very good friends. A couple of them no longer with us. One of them, in fact, July 1st was his birthday, and they took me to Colonial on Thursday in 1980. It was 108 in the shade that year at Colonial. It was brutal. It was the hottest summer. Never been touched, that kind of summer heat in Memphis. And I didn't know which end of a golf club to hold. I swear I didn't. I'd never played. I'd never really been around it. I knew I liked it on television, and I really liked, even back then, really liked watching the Masters a lot in the majors. I don't know that I was week to week, but driving home that night, I asked a friend of mine, and I said, now when do you hit a 6-iron instead of a pitching wedge or the big club, the driver? I mean, I had no idea. I truly did not know, but I've had so much fun at that tournament through the years. And you hit on it. We talk about, we miss our sports, and we miss, this, and we hadn't had that, and kind of, and moan a little bit. There are some parents right now at St. Jude that just got the most devastating news of their life.
Yeah, there are, and that's why I think the tournament, especially here in Memphis, is so important, because it does make you kind of step back and think about all the things that we've gone through with COVID-19 and everything else. But then, you think about families, multiple families every single day getting that type of news, and wondering what's going to happen to their loved ones, to their children, and having a place like St. Jude that never sends out a bill that.
So we didn't have our stupid bracket.
Exactly. We didn't get to have our stupid bracket, but guess what? There's so much more important things going on in this world, and for a hospital like St. Jude to never give out a bill, never for the parents
no
to never
billing
have to worry
about
anything, just takes off so much big of a load that they can concentrate on helping their child get better.
Can you imagine a business having a no accounts receivables department, no billing department? They have it, and it's just absolutely a miracle. And I'll save wrecking a good shirt if I don't go out to the golf tournament, because when I get one of those corn dogs, one of those Pronto pups, I'm going to get mustard somewhere on me. And last year, I don't know if you were in the group that saw it, but C.J. Hurt can attest to it. And I've told you before, I do not know why. But most of my life, it's not because I'm older now. It's not that. Most of my life, I don't know why, because I'm not in charge of anything, and never been in charge of a lot. But I've told y'all that people always find me and kind of ask me particulars or information, directions, like I'm in charge. And last year we were out back. Were you in that group?
I've
standing around talking.
I've heard the story.
Okay, CJ can attest to it, and I told him, and he kind of chuckled like, "Yeah, sure, Brett, yeah, whatever. You got a high estimation of yourself." But people find me at stuff and think I'm in charge, and I'm not. Last year we're standing there, me and CJ and 3 or 4 others, and a nice lady came up, forthright, firm. Not angry though, and asked me pretty pointed, like, "Where is such and such, such and such?" And I said, I'm sorry, I have no idea. And she looked at me like I was the dumbest human on earth. And she looked down at my credential and asked me the question again. I said, ma'am, I'm sorry. I do not. I don't work here. And she looked at my credential. She says, well, you look like you do. CJ started laughing so hard. I said, y'all put her up to that. Y'all staged all that. He goes, no, we didn't. We really didn't. And I'm going, I have no clue. I'm just here just like you are. I may have a fancy badge around my neck, but I'm nobody. I mean, I'm the quintessential nobody, but I hope we get to the tournament 29 days from today. And we start July 1 today with the press conference or the media availability that Adam Silver gave yesterday that's getting a lot of attention when he was talking about the NBA's relationship with the Chinese government, and it's getting a lot of play. And I know they're going to allow the players to have freedom of speech in the Jersey area where their names are. And I've seen today, I bet they won't allow hashtag free Hong Kong or hashtag free China. No, they're not going to do that in Adam Silver. I wouldn't expect them to do it. I wouldn't think they would do it. And I don't know if that's the place. And we go back to LeBron James's quote back last fall during the heat of the moment around Daryl Morey, when he said we have to educate ourselves about it, and kind of dress Daryl Morey down. Daryl Morey's an MIT graduate. I think he's plenty educated.
Yeah, I think he knows what he's talking about
on a lot of things. But I think LeBron James has every right and has a responsibility, a stance he can take with the NBA community. It has been that kind of year for the NBA. Adam Silver also said yesterday that they very well could get down there, and the best laid plans, what could happen to them. It is that volatile across the sports world.
Yeah, it is. And a lot of people took Adam Silver's comments, especially on if that there could possibly not be an end to it, making it think they were thinking that he wasn't 100% sure about his plan. Well, that's not the case. He has a plan and he's positive in it, but if things go wrong, which they probably will right now, just due to the fact that while it's called a bubble, it's not really, man. It's not really a bubble. I mean, MLS is already hitting issues. 6 players from FC Dallas have tested positive since arriving.
That's
at
Football
the bubble.
Club Dallas if you're scoring at home.
Exactly. Football Club Dallas. They've already experienced problems with the bubble because while the bubble sounds great in theory that everybody's there, they're not leaving the facility, the support staff, the people that work at the park, they're still leaving the park. They're still being exposed to outside people, which is ultimately, regardless of whether everybody washes their hands, they're sprayed down with Lysol before they come in, that little germ's gonna find a way to get in. So it's not really if it happens, it's more of when it happens and how many times it happens.
And don't
it
try
could be
any
really a lot of times, and that's where.
And don't try doing shots of Clorox. Don't try that.
Don't do that.
That's not for intake. But we have a lot to discuss today at 3:30. TJ Reeves joins us in his normal spot, and we will visit with him about a lot of different subjects, including the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that he is very involved in. 4 o'clock golf picks with John Goen. Ted Butler will join us and pick for Dave at that time. The Business of Sports at 4:30 with Rick Harrell, Matt Murschell from the Orlando Sentinel on college football. And at 5:30, we will rank the SEC quarterbacks. We did AAC on Monday. And here's what I was really struck with in struggling to do the SEC list, Drew. Brady White would be number 1 in the SEC.
I honestly think he would, just due to the fact of how many.
I don't think it's close.
I think it might be a little closer than you're putting on. I think Kellen Mond, Kyle Traskell is up there. I think Bo Nix could possibly be one of those.
Really?
Kellen Mond's kind of that Joe Burrow-esque
big
type
game
of player.
He's won.
Tell me the big game
I've heard
Joe
that
Burrow.
a lot this summer.
I know. See, so that's the thing. I mean, everybody
Joe
can't
Burrow,
be wrong, right?
Joe Burrow won a New Year's Six Fiesta Bowl game the year before against undefeated Central Florida. Kellen Mond's never had that kind of win, Drew.
That is true, but I think Kellen Mond has the talent, and if he can just get in Jimbo Fisher's system right and everything falls into place, I think that he can have a big system. But doing the research and trying to figure out where I'm going to put everybody, kind of looking off, not really cheating, but looking off of other people's lists. I mean, there's no clear cut 1 through 14. I mean, some polls that have Jamie Newham at Georgia at 2. Others have him at 5. Bo Nix at 6. Some have him at 8. Like, it's just so many unknowns going into the SEC this year that there's not a clear-cut top 3 or 4.
And the comment Monday made by David Cobb from CBS Sports about the Tigers with Brady White, Gainwell, Coaksey, quarterback, tailback, wide receiver. Going through this SEC quarterback list, I can only come up with 2, maybe 3 places that have quarterback, tailback, wide receiver. Alabama, they're going to have it with Mac Jones or the freshman if he wins the job. They've got it at running back with Harris. They've got it at wide receiver with Devontae Smith. The other one, Arkansas. Felipe Franks, quarterback. Raheem Boyd, tailback. Treylon Burks, wide receiver.
Yeah, I like Arkansas's there. Depending on how well Felipe Franks is going to translate into that system, the thing with ballpark with me is that when he was at Florida, it was so many up and downs. I mean, I remember us doing our rankings, and one week I'd have him at 7, the next week I'd have him down at 13, then I'd have him up at 5, and then I'd have him down at 12. There's just so many inconsistencies about his game. If he can be consistent, just on paper, Arkansas might have a shot. Now, when we get to our full W's and L's, I'm not going to say Arkansas really has a shot, but
I'm not either.
I mean,
because it takes more than just those 3.
It does. It takes a lot more than 3 players, and throw in a new coach and Sam Pittman. It doesn't really give you a recipe for success.
If Mississippi State had a big-time quality wide receiver, and that's really what they've been missing the last few years, if they had that to go with K.J. Costello and Kylan Hill, they would be in the mix. At Ole Miss, I don't know who's going to win the quarterback battle, either Plumlee or Corral, but Jerrion Ely at running back. But then it's a little mixed. It's a little mixed at quarterback. It's a lot mixed at wide receiver, whether it's Elijah Moore or Braylon Sanders. There's a lot of places that almost have all 3, but don't have all 3 like the Tigers. I know what we have every day. We have our Family Leisure Studio, and we are proud to be associated with Billy and the crew there, aren't we, Drew?
Yes, we are. We are here in our Family Leisure Studio where family and fun come together. Family Leisure is here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99, 24-foot pools only $19.99, 4-person spas starting at $19.99, swim spas starting at $99.99, high-quality swing sets discounted to $21.99. They are offering contact purchasing deliveries, and curbside pickup. Give them a call to schedule an appointment or place an order today. Stay safe. That's Family Leisure, 2120 Winton Road, just north of I-40.
One of the bigger ifs of all time, if no COVID-19, wouldn't that be nice? We would be
love that
right now we would be right now as we speak at TPC Southwind, and one of the tents are set up somewhere doing this show starting Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Really from sun up to sundown. All our shows historically, traditionally we've been out there. We would be there today. You know what the National Press Corps would be saying every time they came in and out of that media tent, wouldn't you?
Humidity?
The humidity. Oh, man. It's
so hot.
One year, I swear, it was not, and the heat doesn't do a lot for me for this really simple reason. When I get very hot, I go inside.
It's not that difficult.
I don't now, people that have to stay out in it all day or work in it. Yeah, I know where you're coming from, but I don't, and I don't get that fired up about the heat. Now, anything under 70 degrees, I get really excited about because that is getting cold for me. I wouldn't have mind sitting in the steam box Monday because usually at WHBQ it is so cold in there, but Monday was different on you and Carl.
Yeah, Drew broke.
But if we were out there, they would be complaining. I'm sorry, what, Carl?
He said I broke the AC. I did not break the AC. It just happened to go out on its own, but I went through about 10 paper towels wiping my forehead down off of sweat.
Yeah, it was one year at the golf tournament, I didn't even think it was close to hot. Nothing like some years, especially when the tournament was more like it will be this year, latter part of July into the 1st of August, when you would open that back door in the media room, when we were downstairs, where they keep the cards, and when you would open it, and it would feel like a blast furnace hit you in the face. It was not close to Yeah, it would take something out of you when you would first swing the door open. It was not even close to that. And there was a photographer. Now he's lugging big equipment around, and I don't know if he had shorts on or not, but he was just drenched, and he was complaining about how hot it was in Memphis. And I told him, I said, man, I don't think this is hot this year. I really don't. But they'd really be boo-hooing today, as it is a steamer out there today. This hour brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, 2600 Ridgeway, and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the golden opportunity July sales event into this weekend, 4th of July celebration. Great offers on all 2020 models and always special lease options. If you've ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look outstanding in one of those beautiful cars as well. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500. You'll be looking and driving in style. Lexus of Memphis, the highest standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com, 901-362-8833. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
My top story of the day, baseball is back. Kinda, not really. I'm not really sure if it's back or not. You know my opinion on it. I don't think it's back until I finally see that first pitch.
Got to see it to believe it.
But MLB, they say it's back, so I guess hearty yay. But players are reporting to facilities today with workouts starting on Fridays. Players will be tested every day, or be tested today and every other day unless they run a temperature of 104. Then they will be tested, and no matter what the day is, and sent home. So MLB says that they're going to take the testing very seriously.
Ian Desmond with some comments that I agreed with most all of them. He said there are not enough minority assistant GMs. There are not enough minority managers. There are not enough minority general managers. I agree with him wholeheartedly. He said there's not enough minority owners. Here's the thing on everything up to that. It's disgraceful there's not more. But once it gets to the ownership level, here's the only way you get that team. You're offering more than the next guy. I do think it's been exclusionary up to that point, but when you get up to the ownership level to buying those teams, there's just one thing. It's green.
Yeah,
it's the most money being offered. Baseball would love to have a minority owner step up, and they've got a great one in Los Angeles with Artie Moreno. They would love to have more, but high bid wins. Now those other jobs, those are jobs that systemically baseball could be doing much better on. My top story from opening day in April 2000 to now 20 years later. Hard to believe that AutoZone Park is shuttered. Will not host a baseball game this year. No surprise, no games until April 2021. AutoZone Park is no longer the beacon on the hill for downtown and for baseball fans downtown and for Memphis sports fans. Maybe a week from Saturday to get 901 started, but it's been not that well operated the last few years, with a lot of city money spent on a rapidly aging facility that could not come at a worse time for minor league baseball. And now, sadly, for the first time since 1977, 0 games played there. What ushered baseball back in 1978 was a lot of money spent on Blue Stadium, on the ballpark out at the fairgrounds, repackaged as Tim McCarver Stadium with the Chicks, with Avron Fogelman's ownership group, and a lot of other people involved, including Allie Prescott and George Lapidus and many others. I don't think we're at that point, but 2021 will be interesting.
Not top story of the day.
My not top story of the day is it's Happy Bobby Bonita Day. Yes, today, July 1st, the 57-year-old Bobby Bonita will collect a check of $1,193,248.20 from the New York Mets and will through 2035. And don't forget, he also still gets a paycheck from my O's every year for at least another 9.
Nice to be Bobby Bonilla, and he was the player that got hurt for the Cardinals, and they put in a young guy named Albert Pujols, and the rest was history for AP number 5 with the Cardinals. I couldn't stand Bobby Bonilla as a Pirate. I couldn't stand him in a Cardinal uniform, and I was glad the day that Albert Pujols was in that lineup card instead of him. My not top story, the same thing. I know the Mets are broke. The Wilpons really are broke. They're not just liquidity issues or cash on hand. They're broke. Rough times broke. Bernie Madoff, the weasel thief that he is, he really completely ruined the Wilpon family and put the Mets in real jeopardy. There's a new ownership group, I think, on the way in. But Major League Baseball and the Mets' new owner, here's what they need to do. Find some settlement with Bobby Bonilla, write him one check, and not have to go through this embarrassment every July 1st on Bobby Bonilla Day. Now, Bobby Bonilla, I think he turned down like a $10 million lump sum at that time, and they thought that Madoff would outperform the market and make more money than that for him. Really bad bet. But baseball and the new group in New York, they've got to quit going through this annual Darren Ravel humiliation every July 1st.
Yeah, because it just looks bad for them every year. They've got to figure out some way, if not just so they don't have to keep reliving that mistake every single year. They've got to figure out a way with Bobby Bonilla.
He's got to be indemnified.
Yeah, I mean,
he's got to get paid.
He's going to get paid. I mean, right now, I think I looked at his net worth. His net worth right now is, I think, $28 million. So
nice.
I'd say you're already at 28. You're 57 years old. Just tell the Mets, hey, just give me 12. We'll call it even.
Yeah, I think you could come to. I think you could find some number, and if he wins, fine. But quit having this every July 1st humiliation on Bobby Bonilla Day that it has really, really become. When we come back, we talk football, we talk baseball, we talk basketball, and we talk golf. We do that next on Sports Time with TJ Reeves.
Search Sports 56 on Facebook and give us a like. And follow us on Twitter at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Is your old energy-guzzling air conditioning system struggling to make it through the summer? As the summer heats up, many old, inefficient air conditioning systems just can't keep up. We know the timing's not always right to replace your air conditioning system. That's why we have air conditioning systems for as low as $79 per month. That's right, replace your old air conditioning system this month for as low as $79 per month with approved credit. And with today's more efficient models, you could be saving money on your utility bill every month. So the next time you have air conditioning problems, call the experts at Conway Services. And you know, with Conway Services, you'll be receiving our award-winning service every time. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old air conditioning system will come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Summertime and the living is easy. No more cutting or paying utilities. Literally, you guys, Town Village Audubon Park, nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, themed dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, Call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
We like to party.
Carl Morris producing, Drew Barrett co-hosting with me. We welcome you back. We will be with you until 6 o'clock on AM 560, 87.7 FM, and 96.1 FM. At this time on Wednesday, we visit with our friend TJ Reeves down in Tampa, St. Pete. He's the Buccaneers radio sideline reporter. He hosts and does play-by-play on TuneIn and also Three Dog Thursday podcast. And, oh, yeah, by the way, those gorgeous twins, are they going to start school on time, TJ?
We are hoping so. Good to be with you. The twins just turned 12, the twin daughters. We have survived birthday weekend. Now we get the 4th of July as well. So, and I don't know about Memphis. How is it currently in the River City? Because in Tampa, it is seven different shades of hot right now. So I don't know about
steamy.
Memphis right now.
It's pretty humid.
This was the week that the golf tournament was supposed to be in town, and we said all the national guys would be boo-hooing about how humid it is.
Well, I will probably retell this with Wolo, but one of the hottest days and times that I've been in was in Memphis, Tennessee 5 years ago with my family, and it involves going to the Memphis Zoo in July with the twins, and we might have been hotter in an oven at 450 with lemon butter on us, but I'm not sure. It would have been close. So it's hot everywhere.
What year, TJ?
2015, 5 years ago. So the twins would have been 7 when we came and had that trip. So it was hot that summer as well in July.
Now, it's hot today. It's the whole humidity thing. The temperature is not that bad. It's not one of those days when you get inside your car and you can't touch anything without scalding because it's not that. It's just the day that all 3 hairs I have on my head are standing up.
Yeah, it is hot everywhere. It is summer, and look, we all are looking for different things right now to occupy us, especially at night. We don't have baseball. Of course, they play baseball inside down here at Tropicana Field for the Rays indoors, but we don't have any of that going on. So we got to occupy ourselves with being cool, still being safe, being social distanced. The beaches are still open here for now for July 4th. Weekend. The beaches are closing in a lot of different places. Palm Beach County, Florida. I saw Los Angeles closing their beaches up. The Jersey Shore is closing up for July 4th weekend. But for right now, we are open, and hopefully everybody is smart and responsible and socially distances and does the right things with that for sure.
TJ, when do you start your Buccaneers prep? Have you started? When normally do you start? Because I'm kind of going forward just whistling along and doing it like I always have. I'm getting ready for college and pro football and hope that we have it. In fact, in some of the studying for the NFL, I mentioned yesterday the Kansas City Chiefs and their offensive line, that Buccaneer offensive line in front of Tom Brady, that offensive side of the ball for the Buccaneers, it could be really, really something to see next year. But what about you? When do you normally start? Are you preparing just like you normally would or not?
Yes, I normally start probably in the summer, June, July, looking at different things, looking at your team, looking at the different teams in the division. And, of course, it will be weird to have Jameis Winston still in the division, albeit as a backup with the New Orleans Saints. But back to the Buccaneers, yeah, you're trying to get familiar with new players. And obviously this is the case for everybody. This is the same situation for everybody. Nobody's been around the new guys because of the pandemic. With the free agent acquisitions, in the Bucs case, Brady and Gronkowski, with the drafts that take place, in the Bucs case, it's the big offensive lineman from Iowa, Tristan Wirfs, but also defensive back Antoine Winfield Jr., the son of the former Minnesota Viking DB. We haven't been around these guys to be able to get to know them a little better, find out more about them. Now, we've gotten to see things through social media, from team websites. They do Zoom calls or video conference calls with these guys, but in terms of being able to actually be around them, that we haven't had that. We hope We hope that as training camp begins, we'll be able to cover this some. There are probably not going to be fans at any of the training camps at any of the NFL sites. The NFL did announce that all the teams are going to train at their own facility, their own sites, probably without fans. The hope would be, who knows, it's fluid, it's week to week, that there will be fans allowed at the games by the time we get to August, the preseason, and certainly the regular season in September. So let's wait and see. But, yeah, the answer is I've already started what I would normally do. You're looking into it, and you're doing the best that you can to keep up with all these new guys that you haven't been around yet.
Yeah, and TJ, I just got learned this a little bit ago that the NFL has decided to cut their preseason games down to 2 games only. Is that enough for teams to truly get ready for a season where they're already going to have so many hurdles to go through this summer?
Well, I think one of the real concerns right now is, can they start training camp on time? The usual timeline would be the 3rd week in July, and most everybody is practicing by the 4th week of July to get ready to play preseason games a couple of weeks later. So they're obviously operating right now, the NFL, on every couple of weeks, let's evaluate. And so the belief would have to be, if you're going to reduce to 2 games in the preseason, not everybody may be able to meet and practice at the end of this month. So you're trying to be fair with, can everybody be practicing by the 1st week in August, at the end of July, 1st week in August, and then you do need at least a couple of weeks to play games. And to be as fair as possible, everybody would play 1 at home, 1 away, and I'll be fascinated. Like in the Buccaneers case, all right, so let's bring it back to them. Typically in the preseason, the starters would probably play, I think we've talked about this before on the simple math, about 6 to 7 of the 16 quarters in the 4 games. Again, the starters would play, and some of them play even less, and some of them don't even play at all. Remember last year, Wolo's talked about this. He bemoaned it. His Chicago Bears starters didn't play at all in their 4 preseason games. Well, now if you only got 2 of them, how much are these guys going to play, especially if they're worried about risking injury in the second one? But I think you may see that some teams look at this and say, we got to play guys at least the first half of the first game and maybe a quarter of game number 2, because that's the only live contact they're really going to have before the games start for real.
And it could be limited rosters as well, Drew, in that preseason, and cut out a lot of people their opportunity to take their shot at football glory and getting on an NFL roster. All right, TJ, let's go to baseball. This question has been asked a bunch, and Buster Olney sent shockwaves through the baseball world with his answer. Give me your percentage that baseball starts. Give me your percentage that baseball crowns a champion.
Okay, so I don't know what Buster said, so enlighten me on that before I give my answer. What is he? Is he doom and gloom on this?
Oh,
he was 5% at a start and 0 at a champion crown.
5% that it starts. I will
Correct.
go 50-50 that it starts. Maybe it doesn't start on their exact timeline, but it starts at some point, somehow, some way. Again, I am pessimistic that they're going to be able to finish all of this. Not just for the coronavirus sake, but how many guys want to come and play and do this in spread out locations? And again, you could have this flare back up because their idea is to play all the way through October and maybe even into early November, depending on if necessary with the postseason. I'll put finishing at somewhere around like 25%. How about that? I'll be a little more optimistic than Buster Olney there on that one. But
50
there are a
and
lot
25.
of hurdles.
Yeah, I'm not as optimistic as you, TJ. I won't believe that it's actually going to happen until I see the first pitch and we've actually got something in the scorebook. But how many more players do you think are going to opt out in baseball? We've already had 4 or 5 just in the last couple of days. Do you think there's going to be a lot more to come?
That's a real legitimate concern, and you would have to believe that from Tony Clark's standpoint, who heads the Players Association, and the player reps on all the different teams, that they signed off at least on, hey, let's try to get the 50 or 60 games in without everybody in a large group and a large herd suddenly saying, we're not going to do this. I don't think we've reached near that point. There will be some guys who don't want to do it for whatever reason. I mean, I understand. I totally understand that there are some players who are saying, hey, I have concerns about this family member or that family member or this extended family member that has a compromised immune system or respiratory problems in the past, and I don't want to risk it right now when there is no vaccine. How do you tell that player, no matter how much money they make, yeah, you absolutely have to play no matter what? It's a tough call, but I would have to think, just back to the point, that Tony Clark and the players' reps of the different teams went over this with the rank and file and said, whatever we decide, the majority of us are going to go play. Otherwise, we have a total fiasco, guys. And Brett may be nodding. I can't see you right now. That the total fiasco is a more realistic possibility here, that there is going to be a large group of guys that aren't going to want to play. I don't know.
I'm betting total fiasco because baseball's supposed to opening game. That's the only one that's been announced. No other schedule, but the Nationals hosting the Yankees supposed to be 3 weeks from tomorrow. Is that right? Yes, 3 weeks from tomorrow. The 23rd.
Or 23rd, yes.
Right?
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
that 3 weeks. Does it feel like we're going to have baseball 3 weeks from tomorrow? Not no, but you know what? No.
Well, again, you got some that want to do this, that want to play. That again, if you're at a lower level of the pay scale right now, you are wanting whatever money you can get your hands on to go and play, and you're wanting the opportunity to go and play, and you're wanting the opportunity to be in the postseason. Because, oh, by the way, the postseason's still going to count, going to matter, and going to be extra money.
And a great pool of money. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let's just see. We're all in agreement, the three of us, and if Wolo was here, he would be in agreement too. They should have been playing in May. They should have already figured out something with all the scenarios.
Absolutely.
But it's obvious they were operating Major League Baseball on the timeline of how do we run the clock down to the point where we can only have a 60-game schedule, and that's what they did. But they could have been playing in May and June and socially distance and have no fans and find a way to play some of the games. So it is frustrating. We're all missing it. That's for sure.
Next thing, golf. I think golf has distinguished itself over these last 3 weeks and now starting the fourth week of their return. Fanless, a lot of testing, not a lot of bad publicity. You thought that I thought that Connecticut and Detroit would be different vibe and a different media reception for them, never mind the test, never mind the positives, than kind of the coziness of Fort Worth and Hilton Head. It mostly has been. It's been pretty cozy media, but they're trying to get to Muirfield Village for the next 2 weeks after this week, and then I think with the 2 weeks at Muirfield Village, then the tournament in Minneapolis, then Memphis, then a major, that would be a big sigh of relief for the Poobahs, the leadership of the PGA Tour.
And a week ago, I was coming on the air with you after Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, had the press conference where, again, he basically could have gone the other way and said, hey, out of the caution and out of all the concern, we're going to close this back down again. But I believe he understands everything that's at stake. Again, I don't know how many times I've said this with you guys, but I've said it everywhere. We should not be unreasonable. Nobody should be stupid and take unnecessary risks. But I applaud, just like what you said, that Jay Monahan said, we are a sport where it's naturally easier to socially distance as it is, because it's not 11 on 11 across the line of scrimmage. It's not 5 on 5 like basketball, right up next to each other, trying to guard each other, shoot over each other. Golf, you can naturally socially distance. A lot of your listeners, a lot of friends, acquaintances, people I know, an audience that I talk to have been playing golf at one point or another the last 2 or 3 months because you can socially distance to do it. So good on the tour. There's multi-millions at stake. There are guys that are trying to make a living. Again, not so much for the highest end players, but for the guys that are, say, 50 through 125 or 50 through 150, this is their living. This is the time when they are trying to make money and trying to survive for a lot of them, week to week, cut to cut, year to year. So I applaud what they're doing, and I believe they're going to persevere on. I mean, you had an interesting situation develop last week where caddies had tested positive, and you had players like Brooks Koepka and Webb Simpson say, hey, even though I have not tested positive, I'm not going to put anybody else at risk. I'll withdraw. You had the interesting thing with Jason Day feeling like he might have had COVID-19 or been exposed to it in the middle of a tournament. They let him continue to play while he had been tested by himself, it turns out he was negative on the test. So they've done a really good job to this point of managing it and being an example that you can be reasonable, be smart, and continue to play a sport like golf. And let's hope we get some more drama and some more excitement as this builds up in the summer. We're going to get a bunch of great golf tournaments, hopefully, if we can get to them, including Memphis, including the PGA Tour playoffs, and the U.S. Open, if we can get to them.
TJ, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll do it again next week. Dave will be back the following week, but have a great Independence Day weekend and festivities this weekend, and I'll talk to you tonight at 6:15 Central Time.
Absolutely. It's great to be with you, Drew. Glad that you're making sure that Brett behaves. Somebody's got
I'm keeping him in control.
You guys do well. And, Brett, I look forward to having you on the Three Dog Thursday podcast. The fans in Memphis can find that podcast anywhere that you find podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. And we're even going to do a little video roundtable tonight with stats. I'm looking forward to it, brother. Thank you, guys. Be well.
Thanks, TJ.
I'm ready. Thank you very much. TJ Reeves with us on Wednesday afternoon talking a panoply of sports. You can join us at 67129 on the First Bank text line or 360-8255. Always at the First Bank phone line. Visit firstbankonline.com. That's firstbankonline.com. First Bank, they know what you need. Reliable, trustworthy Memphis bankers that can give you an answer in a quick fashion. They make the decisions about you, for you, right here in Memphis. Not Birmingham, not Nashville, not Knoxville, not Atlanta, not anywhere else. Right here in Memphis. A direct answer from the First Bank banker you're dealing with. Visit firstbankonline.com. That's firstbankonline.com. We round out hour number 1. That's next on Sports Time.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Great news, sports fans. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse is now open for dine-in service. Make a reservation and enjoy a mouth-watering steak dinner. Or, if you prefer, take it curbside. In addition to their fantastic steaks, the Butcher Shop Steakhouse has a variety of entrees, including Canadian lobster tail, crab stuffed shrimp, pan-seared red snapper, and fresh ground steak burger with portobello mushroom sauce. Planning a 4th of July cookout? The Butcher Shop Steakhouse offers a great selection of fresh Angus beef, hand-cut steaks and burgers, lamb chops, Atlantic salmon, and more. Make your reservation for dine-in or pre-order for curbside pickup. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, dine-in, curbside, and delivery. Plus, enjoy the sizzle of top-quality Butcher Shop steaks on your own grill. Call us at 757-4244 and visit our website, thebutchershop.com, for menus and more. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, Walnut Grove and Germantown Parkway.
It's time to upgrade your game and get custom fit for free at Edwin Watts with their summer bonus trade-in sale. Come in now through July 12th and get a 50% bonus trade-in on any Callaway TaylorMade or Cobra inline products. Chart out your game with the new Bushnell Tour V5 rangefinder and be the course DJ with Bushnell's new Wingman, the first ever audible GPS and Bluetooth speaker. The summer bonus trade-in sale is happening now through July 12th at Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee. Some restrictions may apply. See store for details.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Do you have any idea why I never speak the way I am right now? It's because if you're honest, sincere, and knowledgeable, you do not need fast-talking, high-energy, gimmick-promising advertising to get a customer's attention. Speaking of that, how do you think companies can offer huge rebates and giveaways when you use their services or buy their products? By overcharging you in the first place, that's how. Fiveash Roofing doesn't operate that way. It's misleading and dishonest. When I provide a customer with the best products and the best service possible and do it at a fair price, why would I need gimmicks to sell it? Best products, best warranties, and best service possible. That's all we offer. Well, that and financing. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
If you want to make money in sales, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. If you can sell, Flynn Broadcasting has a great career waiting for you. If you can sell, we have great benefits, salary, commission, sales leads, and a great place to work. If you can sell, let us know today. Send your resume to jobs@flynn.com. Can everyone sell? No. But if you can, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. Apply today at jobs@flynn.com. Start your great career today at jobs@flynn.com. Flynn Broadcasting wants you.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Wilson and Brett Noseworthy.
Coming up at 4 o'clock, we do golf picks and golf talk with John Goen from Timber Trust Golf. Ted Butler will have a Wednesday appearance with us to do picks for Dave. Looking forward to that. We love having the Memphis Tourism and Sports Council on our team, quite literally here on our show, at our station, and around town. And they are working extra overtime now with all that's been thrown at them. Did you know that the tourism and hospitality industry in Memphis and Shelby County paid over $1 billion in wages to nearly 50,000 local employees last year, with most of those wages being reinvested back into our local economy? That's how hard they've been hit. The tourism and hospitality industry, along with its large workforce, it's vital to ensuring the continued growth and success of our local economy. Memphis Tourism and the Memphis Sports Council, that's a winning combination, working year-round to bring visitors and sporting events to our community to help fan the flames of economic development in Memphis and Shelby County, and we appreciate them. One of those events will be next spring, hopefully, when the NCAA tournament will come to town, Drew, to punch a ticket to the Final Four, the round of 16, and then the Elite Eight, and the winner will cut the nets down and be on their way to the Final Four. And years ago, one of the first big conference tournaments played at FedEx Forum was the AAC, when Napier and Boatwright came into town with UConn and put on a show. It was official today. UConn's a thing of the past in the AAC. Will you miss them?
No. Well, I mean,
not a second.
Well, basketball maybe. Because
not a second.
I think we're starting to create something there in basketball. Football-wise, I'll miss the easy W on the schedule every 3 years. But
boy, it was a gimme, wasn't it?
It surely was. I mean, other than that, I'm really not going to miss UConn that much, and I'm certain a lot of programs aren't going to miss them, especially on the women's side, because they were getting pummeled by Giannotto up there at UConn for the women's team up there. So they really, other than, I guess, women's basketball and the men's basketball in the first couple of years of them being in the league, they really haven't brought in a lot to the table.
No, they haven't, and it's been a mess, and very, very puffy, their idea of themselves. Yeah, they came through in 2014 with Kevin Ollie, and they went on to a national championship. They're fourth, 3 under Calhoun, 1 under Ollie. Their program is way up there. It was probably the highest profile. It was the highest profile in the league. Mm-hmm. But they had a big idea of themselves. They think 4 more on the way. I don't think they ever sniff of another one. I'd take 4, though.
Oh, I'd take 4 in a heartbeat. Yeah, they're kind of on the same. I wouldn't say delusional, just because they are a great program. They've had success, but they're on kind of the same level as a lot of Kentucky fans. It's either national championship or bust, and that's just not realistic expectations to put on any program.
Who should think that? I don't think anybody should have that.
Nobody.
Should they?
No, there's not a single professional collegiate program out there that should be the expectation. I mean, the closest program that's gotten close
Tiger
to it,
Woods?
No, you can't even put that on Tiger Woods. But I think the closest program that has those expectations, and they ultimately most of the time realistically do hit it, is Alabama. And that's only been in the last 10, 15 years.
That's right, but I can remember Alabama going to inaugural Music City Bowl and getting pounded pretty good by Frank Beamer and Virginia Tech, and I can remember Alabama barely winning Independence Bowls against Iowa State, and a lot of that was under Mike Dubose and Mike Shulin. We know what changed it, and it's a little interesting, a little ironic, a little funny that Tommy Tuberville, we mentioned him a couple times this way. I think every day we've mentioned him now. And his United States Senate run, his 6 wins, 6 straight over Alabama, it was impressive.
It really
was. Over Mike Dubose and Mike Shula, though.
Yeah, but it was still impressive. And one thing that
I
remember very clear around those times when Nick Saban came in. Alabama did the whole S logo for car decals for Saban.
The coach,
coming soon, and Auburn released their own S that says streak on it, and that was pretty. That was one of the greatest clapbacks of all time in college athletics by Auburn there.
You know where that bumper sticker really started, I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, was with the re-election of George W. Bush in 2004, and it was just W the president. And then it kind of went to sports. I am so glad. I know he has a national championship, but I still am so glad I never had on any vehicle the coach. Because there were a lot of my Ole Miss friends that did, and I wasn't ever putting Ed Orgeron on my bumper.
Don't know if I'd ever do it now. And I'm a bumper sticker kind of guy. I've got one on my car.
If you're an LSU fan, yes. If you're an LSU fan, you don't get the criticism of him. But it was a perfect marriage. They found each other through a lot of travails and a lot of misses for both of them. They worked perfectly together. Independent of each other, I don't know that they work that well.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, while Coach O has had success, especially in the interim basis, out of USC, this is
interim.
Yes, yeah. in air quotes. This is really the first time that it's all truly come together for him, and I don't know if it's the Ed O factor that got LSU over the hump and into winning a national championship, because it's not like they had a terrible coach in Les Miles right before him. I mean, LSU was right there on the crest. I'm not sure if Ed O is really the reason that got them over the hump, though.
But he gets credit. He was in the arena. He was there. He was there for 15-0. I give him all due credit at LSU. I just don't think anywhere else that would really work. But he's not worried about that anymore, because they wanted someone very much that looked and sounded and lived among them like him. He's made it work. It's been beautiful. And that 15-0, I said it after Auburn went undefeated in 2010 that nobody would ever do it again in SEC. It was too tough. LSU does it. When will it be done again?
I mean, you'd have to think sooner rather than later, just due to the fact that it only took 8 years for it to happen again.
I'm gonna go with later rather than sooner, because
I think it happens in this decade.
Because so many other places are getting better, and you have that that toe stubber in season. You have the championship game, then the rounds of playoffs. I think it's very difficult. No, I'm here to praise him. I'm just glad I didn't have the coach bumper sticker.
I think it's going to come out. It's going to come out of the East. I think it's going to be a Georgia or Florida that gets it done, because it's just too hard to run through that SEC West.
Tennessee did it once upon a time in 1998, but it took a lot of luck for them. 1 hour in the books. When we come back, John Goen from Timber Trust Golf. We do golf picks, and we talk golf with John Goen. That's next on Sports Time.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Napa know-how.
Right now, get 5 quarts of Napa Full Synthetic Motor Oil plus a Platinum Oil filter for just $22.98. Why does synthetic motor oil give your engine superior lubrication and protection? Because science. That's why. Pick up 5 quarts of Napa Full Synthetic plus a Platinum Oil filter for just $22.98. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
General States pricing. Sales price does not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. Offer ends 7/31/20.
Hey, Frequent heartburn may keep you from running your A game, but it doesn't have to anymore. Join the Prilosec OTC 2-week challenge. Just go to prilosecotc.com. You'll get $3 off to get you started, plus 14 days of tips, tricks, and reminders. Just 2 weeks, zero heartburn. Go to prilosecotc.com and sign up today. Zero heartburn is possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
We welcome you back. Thank you very much. Carl Morris producing for us, Drew Barrett co-hosting on this Wednesday afternoon, July 1, 2020. We start hour number 2 on Wednesdays during the golf season, now 4 weeks into it, talking golf with John Goen from Timber Trust Golf. He joins us now. And, John, I hope the golf course is full. And if the weather is anything like blowing through Forest City, they need to head to cover now because it's a biblical rain.
Yeah, we were just kind of looking at that and kind of letting everybody know what's coming. It still shows we've got a little bit of time to at least have some folks play the last couple of holes, but it's definitely on its way. But at the end of the day, too, we could probably use a little bit of it. So
we could, and it had gotten dry and very, very trampoline effect on a lot of courses around town.
Hey, I've said this on a few different occasions down here. As we do dry out, I said if you really want to know what it's like to play a PGA Tour event, you should play here when it dries out because the ball just bounces and goes forever, and you'll know how little water that the tour actually puts on a golf course when you play, someplace like here when we really dry out because you can hit it in some spots that you just scratch your head on. You've never hit the ball so far in your life, so it's kind of fun in a way. Yeah, you can get a lot of confidence with the big club. Yeah, you hit a lot of shorter clubs into some holes that you're not accustomed to doing that. But you can also get yourself in a lot of trouble too.
Yeah, and the way I play golf, it's more likely that I'm going to get in trouble than actually going to help me out. But one guy last weekend, especially we talk about confidence with your long drives. One guy that really had a lot of confidence last week, especially off the tee, was Dustin Johnson. How do you think he was able to come back this week and play at much a higher level than he has for the first 2 weeks?
Well, I think Dustin's shown over the years that he can get hot with, driver or his game in particular. I think, he's done it in rounds and he's done it in events. I mean, he did it here in Memphis in 2012, I believe, the first year that he won here. Never seen the golf course at all at TPC Southwind. Comes in, blows the field out of the water and kind of runs away with that event. Then, of course, a couple of years ago, winds up winning the event again. Clearly he's won majors and things along those lines. So, but clearly, TPC courses maybe suit his eye a little bit, maybe, a bit more generous in some spots. And definitely as we talked about it at TPC River Highlands with some softer conditions and rain. I mean, we talked about getting to around 20 under par, so it was going to wind up winning that golf tournament. So, again, I think Dustin has the potential of just being very, very streaky. He's shown it, and he's shown it even, during the course of an event. I mean, he was leading an Open Championship years ago, running away with it, and then his game falls apart completely. He winds up losing that golf tournament in the final round. So, I think it's just like anybody else right now. I think that especially now that these guys are starting to get back into a little bit of a routine, they can build off some momentum week in, week out, kind of get back into a bit of something that they're more accustomed to, and that's clearly what DJ was able to do last week.
John, you can't be too worried about him because he's sitting on all that money and he's already had major success. He probably has already done enough for someday to have that Golf Hall of Fame speech ready. But Jordan Spieth is in quite a funk. And a few years ago, I was afraid, I'm a little bit afraid of this for Bryson DeChambeau. If it's not going well all the time for him, as much as they are a chatterbox after every shot, shall we say snakes in the head, with every birthday party, they're just going to accrue more and more snakes if they don't win.
Well, yeah, and I think you can point a lot of that back to Augusta for Jordan. 2015 was a very magical season for him, and he's clearly had some success since, and he's even had success winning after the initial Augusta National kind of fall apart. But Jordan's game has kind of gotten off, and a lot of it, I've said this for some time, I believe truly more revolves around the confidence he has with his putter, and his putter gives him then confidence in the rest of his game. And for some time now, Jordan has fought his putting stroke, and he's not ever been able to kind of get back to where he was at in 2015. Now, he clearly putted at an extremely high level this year. I mean, or that year. He was making 15-plus footers like they were nothing. It was interesting. His actual, I think, putting stats that year, if you maybe looked at it, were better outside of 6 feet than they were inside of 6 feet. So, clearly Jordan has definitely lost his way with the flat stick. And I think until he's able to somehow start seeing things a little bit better, I think he's going to continue to have struggles. Now, can he go out and win golf tournaments? Sure. But is he going to be the player that he was in 2015 and the player that we thought might kind of be the one that makes the next run? I don't necessarily see that happening right now. But, I mean, he, again, is extremely young. And so it'll be interesting to kind of see how Jordan rights the ship. I mean, clearly you almost think he might be at a point where you're starting to entertain swing coach change. You just kind of maybe get some of that feeling. I mean, his guy... What about Caddy?
What about a divorce from Greller?
I don't know. I mean, Michael's clearly gotten him to this point. I mean, so, and they've definitely had...
But they go at it.
On and off relationships, sure. But, I mean, clearly that's going to happen regardless of what is going on. I mean, look at how long you've had the relationships between, Phil and Bones or Tiger and Steve Williams. I mean, the Tiger-Steve Williams thing, especially toward the end, got, very, very sideways. But, it could very well turn into that too. But, your caddy's not the one swinging the golf club. Your teacher is the one teaching you how to swing the golf club and how to make adjustments. The caddy's just there to give you information, help you pick out a golf club, and go from there. They're not the ones ultimately teaching you how to fix what the problems are within your golf swing.
Mm-hmm. And I hope Jordan Spieth somehow figures it out, because I think he's a great ambassador for the game, especially for the younger fans. But somebody that I think is kind of in the same boat as Jordan Spieth right now, a little bit older, but still plenty of time left in his career, is Ricky Fowler. What does Ricky have to do to kind of get over that edge? Been playing decent, but not really good or great thus far this year.
Okay, I'm going to say this, and I'm sure some people will laugh, but potentially some people will understand where I'm coming from. I think Ricky Fowler is turning into this generation's Phil Mickelson. I think he can go out, he can win golf tournaments, and it's going to take something special to happen for Ricky to win a major, and then he'll win a few. But
I love it. I love that take, John. Where? What's the course? What's the place? What's the major?
Man, I hate to say it. You almost feel like for Ricky, it's going to either be an Open Championship or a PGA Championship. You know, and then that could open. I don't see it being a U.S. Open. You know, I think it could, and I don't see it initially being at Augusta National. You know, I see it being one of those events that, you know, you historically kind of get something like that, right? I mean, you get these guys that come out of obscurity to win an Open Championship. You get, you know, a guy who comes, you know, a Rich Beam, a Sean McKeel, who is, you know, not a household name that kind of comes out and wins a PGA Championship. Y.E. Yang. So, I think his best chance is in something like that. But I truly do feel like that Ricky is this generation of a Phil Mickelson.
But now Ricky's better than any of those players we just mentioned, isn't he?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, he's won more than any of those players already. And clearly he's a good player. He just, you know, there's something about majors. There's something about big stages. Now, granted, you know, he did win a Players' Championship, and that was a big stage. But, you know,
I love your premise, John. I love your premise, but a lot of those we named were very random, and I'm thinking now of Open Championships: Ben Curtis, Ian Baker Finch. I mean, there's some exactly. There's some randomness. There's some randomness to that. He's not rando, is he?
No,
he's a superstar.
Yeah.
Well, but okay. So look at Justin Leonard. Justin Leonard was probably just as good as Ricky in that, you know, early to mid 90s range, right? Justin Leonard out of Texas won some golf tournaments, won quite a few golf tournaments. Had his little breakthrough there at the Open Championship, wins his one major, didn't win anything else, but was a really good, solid player.
And gave one of the best acceptance speeches, victory speeches in the history of the Open Championship. And it's the only thing you can't find at YouTube is that speech. I mean, it should be political convention acceptance speeches delivered like he delivered that day. And he got bailed out 2 years later, Justin Leonard did, after winning it in 97. Everything fell on poor Jean de Van de Velde in 99, you know, to hand it to Paul Lowry, another rando. But Justin Leonard had a big, bad Sunday as well that day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, you know, it's hard to say with Ricky as far as the direction in which he goes. Clearly he's got the potential. You know, it's just going to be a matter of kind of when it happens, and it's going to need to be one of those kind of almost, you know, the stars align kind of weeks for him. But then I still seriously think that once it does, you know, that monkey kind of gets off your back, kind of like it did with Phil, and then you kind of roll a few off for the balance of your career.
Yeah, and speaking of Phil, just turned 50, kind of being the cool old guy on tour with the sunglasses over the weekend. Does he have anything left in the bag, or is he just happy just to go out there, make a cut, collect a check, and still being cool Uncle Phil?
I tell you, so first of all, and not many people will get this reference, but I don't understand the Chips sunglasses that Phil Mickelson was wearing, you know, the old show, you know, based off of California Highway Patrol with whoever that actor was as Poncherelli, Poncherelli and everything.
Eric Estrada, if you're scoring at home,
there you
John.
go. Thank you, Eric Estrada. Thank you. But I don't get
That's what
those
I'm here
sunglasses
for.
At all. But
no, I don't either. They look like welding glasses.
Right. It was nice to see Phil play. I mean, but I think this is what you're going to get out of Phil moving forward. I mean, I think he's going to have flashes, and then, it's just going to be a matter of how he's able to hold it together. I mean, he had the lowest scoring record for anybody over the age of 50 in the last 20 years, or 50 years or older, I should say. So, I mean, there's something to that. And clearly Phil still has the ability to be able to compete. But it's just going to be a matter of whether he can hold it together for 4 rounds of golf. And I just don't know whether Phil's going to really be able to do that anymore. It will be interesting to me. I don't see him doing it, but it will be interesting to me if just randomly one week Mickelson kind of sticks his toe into the Champions Tour circuit. Maybe at a major, maybe it's something along those lines where the money's a little bit better and you can kind of make a bit of a splash. Because we all know right now, well, first of all, we all know that Phil doesn't necessarily need the money. But at the same time, if he is going to toy around with this at all and try to make, a substantial amount of additional money before he really hangs it up from a golf standpoint, it's from that 50 to 55-year-old window where you can go out and be the new guy on that tour and kind of dominate and do fairly well for yourself. We've seen it kind of time in, time out. So,
would he be scared of this, though, John? Would he be scared if he went out there and didn't make a cut or was T37 on the weekend? Well, that's right. All right, so he at a major, but he's T37 or even this, and I don't want to disparage anyone because they're trying to make it, but he goes out there and he loses on a Sunday to Jim Colbert or Larry Leoretti. What does that do to his air of invincibility?
Well, the interesting part about that tour, though, nowadays is I don't think you necessarily have those guys like you did originally. Tom Wargo's, the Jim Colbert's, the Larry Loretti's, the Bob Murphy's, that
I was digging deep.
were out there. I think nowadays, you still have the Bernard Longers and all those, Steve Strickers and stuff like that are out playing in that circuit, Jeff Maggart and others, that, obviously have more game than those guys in the early years of the whole, senior tour. So, look, it's bound to happen, right? I mean, it's bound to happen. It's just like, as we try to return to sports. I mean, and we talked about last week with the commissioner and his whole remarks. We're going to have COVID cases. It's bound to happen where Phil Mickelson gets beat on a Sunday in a senior tour event, Champions Tour event. It's just kind of the way it's going to be. I mean, as dominant as he could be out on that circuit, he's not invincible by any stretch of the imagination. He's not Superman to be able to go out there and just absolutely just steamroll these guys. So there's going to be a week where somebody's going to come from behind and have the ability to catch him, or, he's potentially not even in contention. So, but that's going to happen because that's the way this sport is anyhow. I mean, it's guys get streaky and you're going to run into the exact same thing, out on that tour just as much as you do on the regular tour.
It is time for golf picks. We do that every week. Ted Butler joins us now picking for Dave Woloshin. Ted, you have a lot of pressure on you. You will not hear the end of this, and if you nail it, you won't get any of the credit.
It looks like a no-win situation to me.
It is one of the more thankless tasks ever, Ted, but we are glad that you have signed up for it, and we are going to have fun with it. Dave is picking second. Drew still
in
picking first. Drew, I didn't say that.
Gaining
Drew. I
on
didn't say in last.
You are gaining on it.
Thank you.
You're at 202,000 for the year, just 23,000 behind Ted. You pick first, Drew. Go.
Well, this guy's played really well all 3 weeks, and hopefully he continues for a fourth. But I've been the player killer of all time the last 2 weeks. So get ready for Bryson DeChambeau to not make the cut because that's going to be my pick.
Well, he is definitely due. I don't see how you could pick anybody other than him. 46, 47 under through these first 3 events. He's done everything but win. Good pick. Ted, you're up next, picking for Dave.
Well, he took my initial choice. I was thinking about DeChambeau myself, the way he's been playing every week, but I'm going to go with Webb Simpson.
Webb Simpson, who has already won. Ted takes Webb Simpson. I'm third. I'm going to take from Oklahoma State the youngster Victor Hovland. John?
Well, you know, we've kind of gotten to the first event where you scroll through in a bunch of different scenarios, and you're like, well, the names are definitely not your household names for the most part. I guess I will take the guy who seems to be playing, you know, fairly well coming out of the break, has been in contention, maybe had a couple of chances here and there. But I will take Tyrrell Hatton.
Tyrrell Hatton, a lot of people in love with him on the Golf Channel this morning. A round 2 shock picks. Drew?
Shock picks, I've done both. I've gone at 61. I've gone down to 98, tried to get fancy with it. So I'm not even going to try. Just went to the first person at 61, made sure he was still in the tournament, and he is. Made sure he's still in the field, and he is. So I'm going JT Poston.
We are going to will JT Poston to that winner's circle, aren't we? I think just about all of us have had him so far as the shock pick. Shock us, Ted, your next pick. And you know the rules about 61 and up.
I'm going much deeper than 61. He played well a few years ago and played really well last weekend. I'm taking Scott Stallings.
I love it, Ted. 219 OWGR out of Tennessee Tech, but you're right about Scott Stallings, and there are a couple of people at a lot of the betting sites liking Scott Stallings. It's time for me in a shock pick. I'm going to take him out of Clemson, Doc Redman. John?
Yeah, he was on my list. Well, I guess I'm going to take a guy who's played well at this event, played well last year here, and is 88 in the world golf rankings. You can tell that, again, we talked about field. There's a lot of shock picks that are also in power rankings this week on PGAtour.com. But I will take Rory Sabatini this week as my shock pick.
Rory Sabs, I think he's 88 in the world. Is that right?
88, yes, sir.
88, that qualifies. Ted Butler, thank you for helping out today. And Dave is pulling hard for Webb Simpson and Scott Stallings. And we'll visit with you on Monday, and we'll pick again next Wednesday. Thank you, Ted.
That'd be great. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, Ted.
You got it. Ted Butler picking for Dave, and I like his picks. Webb Simpson, we last saw him, it was in the winner's circle. John, go and tell us about everything going on at Timber Trust. If you missed this biblical cloud today, I know you'll have your scramble tomorrow afternoon, and the weekend with the festivities on Saturday should be fun down in Olive Branch.
Yeah, it should be good. I mean, we kind of get this rain, through here. It looks like it moves kind of maybe fairly quickly. But yeah, we got our 2-man scramble tomorrow night at 5:30. You can sign up for that at 662-895-3530. Always a popular event on Thursday nights. Has really kind of become a pretty good staple here for us. We're getting 25, 29 teams for a 9-hole scramble at 5:30 in the afternoon. Just everybody comes out and has a great time. So a lot of fun there. Friday is absolutely crazy already, but there's still some early afternoon times available if you're looking to play sometime in the afternoon. Still some good availability for the weekend for both the 4th of July and the 5th. So still some good opportunity to get some morning tee times on those days. Again, you can either call us at 662-895-3530, or you can visit us at timbertrustgolf.com to book those tee times online. But golf course is in great shape. We hosted the Sneds Tour event here yesterday. Had a lot of fun having 84 kids come out and play golf and compete, and on a pretty stifling day, but they all kind of made it through with no major issues going on. But just really continue to be pleased with Jacob Marsh and our whole entire golf course maintenance staff with regards to what's going on and the direction in which the golf course is going. So getting a lot of positive comments from all of our customers and members, and we'll look forward to see everybody out here this weekend.
John, we're close on time, but I did get his permission last Saturday. I met a young man who entered his first golf tournament ever last Thursday in the 539 hole scramble with his partner. He's just taking up golf. He's having a blast with it. They came in dead last, and dead last pays cash. He loved it. He was as proud as Tiger Woods leaving with a green jacket. I'm telling you that it happens week in and week out, because we don't just pay, first, second, third. I mean, we'll pay first, second, 7th, 8th, 13th, 15th, last place. So, you don't have to be a spectacular twosome. We just come out, we have fun, we have a meal afterwards. Have fun.
And just a great time to be able to come out and enjoy, folks and really kind of, have a bit of normalcy with everything kind of going on in the world right now. So.
Amen to that, brother, because 2020, man, it's been one. Thank you, John. We'll communicate, and I'll send you the pics, and good luck this weekend, and have a great, happy Independence Day down at Timber Trust. Thank you, John.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
John.
A lot of fun. Boy, Ted with an unenviable position, isn't he, Drew?
Oh, he is. Because
I wouldn't want to be the designated picker for Dave, because if you win, he's going to say he sent you those picks.
Exactly.
If you lose, he crushes you.
Oh, he's going to kill Ted if he loses. I mean, Ted could win a turn. Ted, out of these 2 weeks, Ted could win a tournament, but 3 out of his other 4 guys misses a cut, and Dave's going to go Iran, even though it'd be way better than Dave would have done on his own.
It's going to be a high bar, and I knew he was, but I wasn't about to let Ted pick someone that wasn't in the tournament or maybe had DQ. No, nobody had, but I knew he'd have a good pick, and he did with Webb Simpson, who couldn't play last weekend as the defender out of Harbortown, but will play this weekend in Detroit. When we come back, we will visit on the business of sport with Rick Harrow. Look forward to visiting with Rick. We missed him last week. He's up next on Sports Time.
Want to get your voice heard? Hit us up on the First Bank phone line or First Bank text line.
Family Leisure's here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99. 24-foot pools only $19.99. 4-person spas starting at $19.99. Swim spas starting at under $10,000. We are offering contactless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. Give us a call to schedule an appointment or to place an order. Stay safe with Family Leisure.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Eat well and stay healthy with Sweetgrass Next Door's to-go and delivery service. From shrimp and grits to pork chops to chocolate chip cookies and more, feed your need. Located in the heart of Cooper Young Midtown, Sweetgrass Next Door makes for an easy to-go, pickup, and delivers to all of Midtown, most of downtown, and even East Memphis locations. For more information, visit online sweetgrassmemphis.com or call 901-278-0278 to place your order today.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
Happy summer to everyone from the Rendezvous in the Alley in downtown Memphis since 1948. And don't forget about their shipping, but you always can visit the restaurant 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Want a taste of Memphis to celebrate the 4th of July? The Rendezvous, they've got you covered. They've been shipping ribs and pork shoulder all over the country now for decades from their USDA-inspected kitchen right in the Pinch District in downtown Memphis. All of the ribs are hand-cooked in pits over charcoal, just as they do it at the restaurant, and the shoulder, it's slow-smoked over hickory for 14 hours. In addition to the ribs and shoulder, the Rendezvous ships pork nacho boxes, as well as their signature sauces and seasonings. You can order at hogsfly.com, or you can always visit In the Alley since 1948, the Rendezvous. Don't forget that Memphis institution in downtown Memphis, In the Alley since 1948, Mr. Charlie Burgos and family's famous restaurant, the Rendezvous.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Dave away today and next week. Carl Morris producing, Drew Barrett co-hosting with me. And we missed Rick Harrow last week. We missed him a lot. The world's most interesting man, we feel like, from the business of sports. He talks that with us. Author, Harvard professor, Harvard Law School graduate, Florida resident. How is it in Palm Beach these days, Rick Harrow?
Well, I'm now returning after like 2 weeks on the road. I'll be back at home in about an hour and a half, locking myself down for a while till we figure out what's going on. But I decided to hermetically seal myself in my BMW with some spray. And if anybody came up to me, I'd just spray him in the face, man. I got all of this alcohol stuff and all of this stuff really, really good. And after seeing my daughter in Washington, my daughter in Boston, I'm heading back to bed down with my dog, man.
I wanted to ask you.
We got it.
Rick, I wanted to ask you. You mentioned your daughter in Washington. Did you say she lives in Bethesda, or does she live in the district?
No, Bethesda, Maryland. So part of the whole Maryland lockdown stuff, and my other one's in Cambridge, and that lockdown stuff. And I think I feel safer just now with all of the quarantines being imposed. Just to be back, and my dog and I made a decision. I'm going to watch NASCAR reruns and the Detroit Rocket Mortgage Golf Tournament this weekend. He gets the Westminster Dog Show, and we're all happy.
Well, I'm halfway with you. I'm going to watch the golf. I'm going to leave the NASCAR to others. I've never watched, and I'm not going to start now in the pandemic. Let's go to the backyard of the daughter in Cambridge and the possibility of the Ivy League playing football next spring. I think it is pretty much a given. That's what they're going to announce on July 8th. I don't think it's that bad a plan, Rick. It might really draw more interest, certainly, potentially, solo interest. The stage could be all theirs next April and May for spring football.
Yeah, they got a TV contract, and it's the ESPN guys, and they had CBS Sports, and all of the relationships that Robin Harris, who is the commissioner of the Ivy League, develops are about making sure there's revenue coming from them. Remember, she was the first one. The second week in March, when we didn't know what was happening, I was on the way to see the Ivy League basketball tournament. She shut it down, and her trustees are her board, and they're not just the athletic directors, but they're the presidents of the university. So I think there's a very good possibility that does happen.
Yeah, it is a big possibility, and the way the Ivies have always seemed to work, if they're thinking about it, we all probably should think about it, but. Like you were talking about earlier with the virus, you almost want to spray people down with Lysol. And a hotbed for it right now is the state of Texas. But are they still considering actually having fans at Rangers and Astros games?
Well, that's what we wrote beginning of the week. And, HKS is the architectural firm that did Globe Life, the new one, and also SoFi Stadium in L.A., and when that opens in September, it'll be a big month for 2 months for those guys. They're thinking about the different signals. I think a week and a half ago, when the governor said, let's honor baseball, and we may have the only two teams in baseball to allow crowds. Now it's an entirely different situation. I would be very surprised if that does happen. But then again, this is so fluid. We can go week to week on all sports depending on the spike. Because again, it's not just the fans in the stadium, but it's the players themselves and how safe it'll be.
Rick, it's easy. It's very easy to play the blame game and the red-blue game and the political party game. But did the governors of Arizona, Texas, and Florida, did they open too soon, or did they take the victory dance too soon?
Yeah, and I'm not the guy to answer that. All the pundits who know, unfortunately, maybe even less than I do, they're all saying yes. All the politicians who I know way less than I do are all saying yes, and it's all the Blues are saying, yeah, they open too soon. The Reds are saying we want to preserve the economy. We can have a big discussion about national leadership, but I'm hoping that the idea of when sports really opens, now we're all talking, but the crunch time will come in the next couple of weeks. But I'm just really hoping that at the end of the day, it's decided in the final analysis by the local health officials and not the local politicians.
Yeah, you hope that we listen more to the Dr. Fauci's of the world than the governors and the elected politicians. But coming out today, learning that the NBA is expected that the Walt Disney Resort reopening here at the end of the month throughout the playoffs is going to cost them more than $150 million. What kind of actual profits are they looking at returning just from TV alone?
Yeah, the $150 million obviously is for the lack of fans, the lack of corporate activation, and the lack of merchandise that comes with the fans. The television dollars will soften the blow, and the television dollars that allow corporate advertising and the going back and forth between the small arenas at Disney, it salvages the best of an otherwise very difficult situation. And I know we're 3.5 weeks away now from opening, and the players are testing positive, and you got to be able to deal with how to structure that, and how to quarantine that, how to get players back. They'll lose a lot of TV money, but they're going to make some, and the making some is just making the losses less. And how about the on-court stuff? And same with baseball and hockey. It may be, and I don't even want to think about this now, but we'll talk about it in the next couple of months. It may be the teams that win the respective titles will be the ones that have less players infected. How about that?
It's very, very well could be. We're visiting with Rick Horrow on the business of sport. I like to call him the world's most interesting man. Being an attorney, Rick, you know that there's almost no contract that with enough money and enough time and enough fight that you can't get out of. And I know you don't stun or be shocked very easily. Were you surprised, stunned, shocked at all by the USGA and Fox and the NBC deal this week for the U.S. Open? Because that marriage ended quickly and just a big check written and try to forget everybody ever existed.
Yeah, shocked, stunned by how quickly it happened, not shocked or stunned by the ultimate result. A lot of discussions by all of us about what the deal is when you have a process where NBC, might have been. Let me put it this way: we're all cozier with the prospect of CBS and NBC doing our lion's share of golf, including the majors. When Joe Buck and then Greg Norman and all of the different angles and new stuff happened, I'm not sure that Fox was ever able to make us golf fans comfortable that they were the logical successor. They spent a lot of money on it, but the pandemic plus looking at what they wanted to do as far as golf in the future, it was understandable that they wanted to pass it back to NBC. But I don't know if something like this with the big dollars ever happened this quickly.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think golf really ever worked on Fox. It
didn't feel right.
It felt clumpy a little bit. Just Joe Buck's monstrous voice just doesn't belong as a quiet tone on the golf course. But switching over to something that's been around.
Time out.
Okay.
Did you say clumpy?
I did.
Was that the word you used?
I did, and it probably was
Wow,
a clumpy
there's
word
a hell
to
of
use,
a-
but.
I don't even know if it. I guess it does. It is a word, but I'll make sure that we tweet that out. Clumpy. That's good.
We'll put it down as a new one, Rick.
Yeah, got it.
But like I was about to say, the story's been out for about a week, but the Indy Motor Speedway is actually selling tickets. Are they regretting selling tickets because of how many refunds they're going to have to give? I think they've already sold just a little under 200,000 tickets.
Yeah, well, but listen, they had to do it this way, and Roger Penske. You got to admire his guts on this one because remember he bought Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is his first Indy 500. It's been postponed since May, and he said, "No crowds, no event." And you may let a few in, you may let a lot in, and I'm sure that it'll be rough for him to have so many refunds that'll have to be done. And it's a hassle, but it's also less of a hassle than selling none and then deciding 2 weeks beforehand that you're going to do it, and then you got to resell them. I'm sure because of the popularity, we're going to have a lot of people wanting to go, but again, you have to decide pretty soon, August 23rd. So we got 7 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to decide pretty soon for fans and obviously for the drivers. Are you going to have the race or not?
What do you think of Gary Bettman and the NHL plans? It looks like now the two hub cities will both be Canadian cities. What do you think of that NHL plan, Rick?
Interesting. I thought it would be Vegas. I thought Vegas would definitely do it, but it's just another example of Gary holding his cards close to the vest. The NHL is a very strong, obviously done Canadian national professional sport, and with all the spiking that's happening now, two Canadian cities, not a bad idea. But again, all of this is subject to change, and I would have thought that if Vegas, wasn't so close to California and Arizona, you're kind of boxed in there with the spikes going up. This may be the logical choice.
How long do you think is the D-Day for Roger Goodell with NFL News?
Well, he's going to stay quiet probably for another week, maybe 2 weeks, but it's coming close. Remember, he already peeled the Hall of Fame game off. No Canton, no opening of their new development, and no Hall of Fame game with the Steelers and the Cowboys. But it's going to be really interesting to see when the rubber hits the road, camp, and then what about preseason? I'll give him 2 more weeks.
Yeah, and I'm so sorry for Canton and for David Baker with the Hall of Fame. I love seeing him when I would go to Super Bowls, and he has, no doubt about it, with Anthony Munoz, the largest dome, the largest noggin on a set of shoulders ever. Larger than Andre the Giant.
But what about this? David's a good friend of mine, too. What about his hands? Those are the biggest things. And what about
you lose your hand?
Yeah, you lose your hand in there. What about his son Sam? I remember he was a first round pick by the
USC.
Falcons out of USC. Yeah, Sam.
Yeah.
I remind David from time to time that Sam is clearly more important than David, and he gets to pick up.
He is, and when USC played at Arkansas in 2006, I took David out that Friday night in Fayetteville, and we had a big time. And I thought Sam was going to have a 10, 15-year NFL career. He just got hurt and couldn't stay on the field, Rick.
Just got hurt. That's the problem because, he's got his father's competitive instincts and love the Baker family.
I do too. Rick Harrow, we love you. You have a happy Independence Day. Be careful in that home stretch getting back to Palm Beach County, and we'll talk again next week. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Rick.
You got it. Rick Harrow talking the business of sports with us every week. I'm with you, Drew. It never felt right on Fox. Even their bells and whistles that took a while to get used to, even in their NFL coverage. We never did in their short-lived NHL coverage, and they toned some of it back in the baseball coverage. But like their shot tracer a little different. And I mentioned it Monday with that breaking news. I thought the double whammy for them were at non-traditional U.S. Open sites that made it even harder for the viewer. I mean, instead of being somewhere like Pebble Beach or Shinnecock or at Pinehurst, that first year, especially in the state of Washington, and then when they went to Wisconsin, those courses might have well been on the moon. They looked weird. It made the coverage feel weird.
It really did. And, like I said with Joe Buck, I love Joe Buck, but when I hear his voice,
I love Joe Buck.
It's NFL and it's Major League World Series. He just doesn't have that Jim Nantz voice that can kind of transcend all different sports. So when you hear Joe Buck kind of tone down the volume like a lot of golf people do and try to be a little bit more calm in his tone, it just felt weird.
It did feel weird. I love Joe Buck. I don't get the heavy Twitter criticism.
I don't either. I love
him. I mean, you literally can tweet out his name, just Joe Buck, and here comes the animus and
they're going
vitriol. I don't get that. I don't get that for doing it for anybody, and certainly not a broadcaster. But that's kind of what Twitter has become. It's not a safe refuge for
open
happy
thoughts.
people a lot of days. No, and what the irony of that, Drew, is so many of the Twitterati that they want to tell you how open-minded and broad-minded they are, except when you disagree with them.
Exactly. They're open-minded. They're here for a discussion until you're on the other side of said discussion, and they just want to attack you. So nobody is safe in the Twitterverse at all.
No, but when I hear Joe Buck, when that mic cracks open for him, for me it's 3:00 on Sunday afternoon. Troy Aikman alongside, or it's at a Major League Baseball park with the long shadows of October and alongside him, whether it's John Smoltz or whomever the analyst was. I thought Joe Buck and Tim McCarver were a symphony together. I loved them. Now I like them both a lot as guys, as the good people they are. But I wasn't on Twitter in those years, but I heard of all the backlash from them as a duo, and I didn't, and I don't get that. But hate the announcer is really easy. Hate the announcer and blame the media. It's really easy to do on the Twitter machine.
Yeah, we're just the easiest targets out there. As the media's making it up, or the broadcaster's rooting against my team, or he's trying to make us look bad. It's just the easiest move to do.
Which is why it was a little bit of a surprise to see Eli Manning, after the career's over, get in the fray of Twitter, and immediately as soon as he launched his account, he had 350,000 followers. But I hope he's not reading the mentions, because you can scroll down 3 mentions and it's, got lucky twice. I can't believe he did it.
Yeah, honestly, if I was a retired athlete like that, or even just a current athlete, if I was going to have a Twitter, I would turn every single notification off. I would never search my name on Twitter or any social media site, because 5 minutes of it, you'd feel like you're the worst human being to ever walk the earth, because the nasty things people say.
You wouldn't be able to recognize yourself. Peyton Manning is not on it, and one other reason why, and I haven't said very much about him or his recruitment, and I'm not going to, because I don't spend a lot of time on these airwaves talking about 10th grade recruits. But another reason why I was surprised that Eli got into the fray of Twitter is young Arch Manning coming along, and he's not. It makes me think Eli, though, may have always had a burner account. He jumped into the Twitter deep end knowing what he was doing on it.
I think he
You think he had a burner?
Oh, I think OBJ set up a burner for him.
We can't blame everything on OBJ.
He's got like
how many accounts?
10 burner accounts. At least.
Somewhere OBJ has the burner account for the catch net, don't you?
Yes, he does. He owns it. I mean, he has burner accounts for his burner accounts.
We take this break. We round out hour number 2 when we come back. You're listening to Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and CJ Hertz. Right here on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Happy summer to everyone from the Rendezvous in the Alley in downtown Memphis since 1948. And don't forget about their shipping, but you always can visit the restaurant 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Want a taste of Memphis to celebrate the 4th of July? The Rendezvous, they've got you covered. They've been shipping ribs and pork shoulder all over the country now for decades from their USDA-inspected kitchen right in the Pinch District in downtown Memphis. All of the ribs are hand-cooked in pits over charcoal, just as they do it at the restaurant. And the shoulder, it's slow-smoked over hickory for 14 hours. In addition to the ribs and shoulder, the Rendezvous ships pork nacho boxes, as well as their signature sauces and seasonings. You can order at hogsfly.com, or you can always visit In the Alley since 1948, The Rendezvous. Don't forget that Memphis institution in downtown Memphis in the Alley since 1948, Mr. Charlie Virgos and family's famous restaurant, The Rendezvous.
Anyone who builds, remodels, or repairs for a living, we know the way you work has changed. That's why Lowe's is committing today to build new ways to keep you working tomorrow. We are proud to introduce the new Lowe's for Pros job site, powered by Stream, an augmented video chat tool so you can be there for your customers without actually being there. And the cost to use? Try it free through October 31st at lowesforpros.com/proloyalty. Just one of the reasons why Lowe's is the new home for pros. Services subject to Stream terms. Lowe's loyalty membership required. More terms apply.
Summertime and the living is easy. No more cutting or paying utilities. Literally, you guys, Town Village Audubon Park, nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, theme dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brett Norsworthy.
Closing in on the top of the 5 o'clock hour, and that will be with Matt Murchell from the Orlando Sentinel. Drew, we've talked about the college football plan. We talked about the Ivy League plan. Have you ever wanted to go to an Ivy League game?
Yeah, I mean, I'd go to a Harvard-Yale game. I think that one
in a second.
That one's on the top.
That's where it all started.
Bucket list. But as far as going to a Columbia or Brown, not so much. I mean,
I would. And one time I said to our friend Richard Cross that I would like to spend a year inside the Ivy League, and he quickly came back and went, maybe 2 weeks. He said, never mind a year. But a lot of the college football history that we know about. It was not the first game, but Harvard and Yale, so very important to the early days. Last year we celebrated the 150th year of college football, but a lot of teams really pay tribute back to that. Tennessee with the exact same fight song down the field as Yale. Georgia, they are the Bulldogs because their first college game, their game was against Yale. Ole Miss, and with all the stuff around Ole Miss and the symbolism and what some think it means, the red and blue uniforms at Ole Miss, this is where they came from. And if you hear anything else, you either want to believe a lie because it is a lie. The red and blue uniforms at Ole Miss came from paying tribute to Harvard and Yale. And that's why they have those color uniforms at Ole Miss. And so there's a lot of tie out there. And once upon a time, those places were the kings of college football. Yale with 2 Heisman Trophy winners, the second and third Heisman Trophy winner, Larry Kelly and Clint Frank, and Princeton with Dick Kazmaier as a Heisman Trophy winner. I would like to go to those games. I'm not saying I'm.
I do. I would check out Princeton.
I'd go to all of them. I'd go to a game at Brown. I'd go to a game at Dartmouth. I'd go to a game at Columbia, and it would be evocative of a throwback era a long time ago. And I think if they play in the spring, it would be conference only. Is that right?
Yeah, they would only play the 7 conference games. Is the way that the Ivy League's plan is set up now, which I wouldn't mind seeing the FCSs and the Ivies go to the spring. There's a lot of great FCS programs out there with North Dakota State, Montana, James Madison, just to name the few just right off the top of my head that I would love, and I would love to get to know more. Villanova has always been a great FCS or Division I, 2A back in the day program, and I'd love to get to know these programs and these schools a lot more than I do. I'd like to be able to list off more than 5 to 10 that I just know off the top of my head because of how good some of these schools have very long, good football tradition, and if they went to the spring, they'd get so much more spotlight on them. It's just, when in the spring do you start? Because you don't really want to go up against March Madness, though. So I'm trying to figure out where they would follow. I think maybe if they would play the 7 weeks, it'd have to be start the weekend after the national championship game in college basketball, play through April and halfway through May.
And we will talk about this next with Matt Murschel when we come back from the top of the hour break. But you could have this if all of college football has to go to a spring model. Let's say we go to a March, April, May. That's the equivalent of September, October, November. Wouldn't it really be college football weather-wise in reverse? Wouldn't March kind of be the cold month like November is? And then April would be kind of temperate and nice like April or like October is, and the steamer, the hot one, would be when we're closing up instead of when we're finishing now. The weather would almost be in reverse if we have to do that, and we could have to across college football.
Yeah, we could, and we've seen it, especially here in the AAF and XFL, USFL, WFL, just the spring football, and I kind of like it up until. Some of I've heard some of those USFL games when you got into May and June were some toasty ones.
Well, brutally hot. The playoff game against the famous playoff game against the Oakland Invaders with Bobby Hebert and Anthony Carter. It was very, 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 very hot. This hour's done. When we come back, we will start our third and final hour. We visit with our friend Matt Murschel from the Orlando Sentinel. He's up next. You're listening to Sports Time.
time to upgrade your game and get custom fit for free at Edwin Watts with their summer bonus trade-in sale. Come in now through July 12th and get a 50% bonus trade-in on any Callaway TaylorMade or Cobra inline products. Chart out your game with the new Bushnell Tour V5 rangefinder and be the course DJ with Bushnell's new Wingman, the first ever audible GPS and Bluetooth speaker. The summer bonus trade-in sale is happening now through July 12th at Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee. Some restrictions may apply. See store for details.
Napa know-how.
Get all the quality parts you need at your locally owned Napa. Because right now, when you order from Napa online, you can pick up curbside at your local store in just 30 minutes. Or get your order delivered direct to your door with free one-day shipping on over 160,000 quality parts when you spend $50 or more. Quality parts delivered quickly and safely. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating stores, standard ground shipping and exclusions apply.
At Jason's Deli, you can stuff yourself full of great deli food that's healthy, fresh, and best of all, it's not expensive. Jason's Deli is all about choice. Whether you're looking for a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids' meals, or if you'd like to invent your sandwich via the build-your-own selections, Jason's Deli has you covered. And they only use fresh, wholesome ingredients. Choose from the club and specialty sandwiches, paninis, wraps, soups, salads, pastas, and much more. I love the cleanliness in the restaurant, the hospitality, and of course the cost. They have a huge salad bar and great soups, including Southwest chicken chili, fire roasted tortilla, organic vegetable, tomato basil, and many, many more. And if you're planning an event, their catering department is fantastic and can handle any size party. Go check out Jason's Deli's 4 locations. On Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, that's my favorite, on Germantown Parkway in Cordova, at Poplar and Highland, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch.
If you want to make money in sales, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. If you can sell, Flynn Broadcasting has a great career waiting for you. If you can sell, we have great benefits, salary, commission, sales leads, and a great place to work. If you can sell, let us know today. Send your resume to jobs@flynn.com. Can everyone sell? No. But if you can, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. Apply today at jobs@flynn.com. Start your great career today at jobs@flynn.com. Flynn Broadcasting wants you.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Carl Morris producing, Drew Barrett co-hosting with me this week and next. Dave out. This hour indeed brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales every day, where they have very high standards. All the cars test driven at DeSoto Auto Sales, checked out bumper to bumper, head to toe at 5704 Goodman Road. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience on Goodman Road, and you can go online and check out all the happy referrals at DeSotoAutosales.com. Unlimited inventory, every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you at DeSoto Auto Sales, where you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, that laid-back, down-home environment. No high-pressure sales whatsoever at DeSoto Auto Sales, but they do care about your time, and they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. You walk in within 45 minutes, test drive your car, get credit approved, paperwork completed, all in about 45 minutes, less than an hour, in time to do it over your lunch hour or immediately after work. They know we're living in a world today that time matters, and they keep it simple at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. DeSotoAutosales.com, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County to DeSoto Auto Sales for that town and country experience that you can enjoy, and we appreciate them so very much. We appreciate Matt Michelle from the Orlando Sentinel. You can follow him on Twitter at OS Matt Michelle. At the top of his Twitter page, he has a profile pic of the celebration for the Clemson Tigers. Matt Michelle, is that where we start this year? Do we start with Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers for 2020?
Yeah, I think you do. I think you look at how they've been able to handle things moving forward. I think you look at with Trevor Lawrence coming back. Again, this is a program that has definitely been on the rise with what Dabo's been able to do. And we didn't think for a while there that anyone would be able to knock Alabama off that top perch, but we're starting to see that with Clemson kind of making that big push. I know they didn't get there, last year, but again, they're right there on the cusp, and they've got the team and enough depth on that talent and that talent on that roster to be able to make the push for the number one spot.
Yeah, and you're obviously sitting down there in the bubble that is the sporting world. How well is it being received by Orlando residents that they're already having a COVID-19 problem, and now all these sports and extra staff are coming into the state? How is it being perceived by locals?
Well, I think locally, everyone is really excited. I mean, they want to be. Obviously, all eyes are going to be on our area here in Orlando. There's a lot of attention being paid towards, as you mentioned, the MLS and the NBA. But there's got to be some concern. There's concern everywhere because we're seeing, highest numbers we've seen during this pandemic over the last couple of weeks, and it continues to go higher and higher. I think there's a concern that, will the NBA be able to do this? Will the MLS be able to do this? Will they be able to have this shortened season without having some sort of stop or breakage? I mean, the nice thing about the Disney setup for both these leagues is the fact that they can be off. Disney is really kind of off, separate from the city of Orlando. It does have its own kind of vibe of being in a bubble. They have individual hotels, they have tram services, they have all amenities you really need. So they could get away with that, but there's still going to be the possibility that you're going into a hotbed of COVID-19, pandemic area. So there is always the possibility something could happen. We've seen some of the MLS players test positive over the last couple of days. I think you're going to see that. Now, whether or not we're going to see the kind of elite sports we're used to seeing, I'm not sure, but I think everyone's trying to do the best they can to make sure that everything is going to be well. But the Orlando residents themselves, they're excited, but they're also a little bit trepidation. There's a little bit of trepidation there as well.
Trepidation is a good thing to have these days, Matt Michelle. I think we all have it every day. Today, I went shopping and I went in local Walmart and I had my mask on. I'm going to say about 70% inside the store with mask on. Saw a buddy of mine from high school. I said, he didn't have one on. I said, you're walking on the wild side. He said, commando, mask and everywhere else.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think you look around here, especially our area, I went out shopping a couple days ago, about 50%, we're wearing masks. I'm not. A lot of younger people, a lot of men not wearing masks, but I've been telling people, for the last couple of weeks, listen, if you want a sports season, if you want to be able to see football in the fall, you want to see, everything going on, you got to wear a mask. And nothing I'm saying is political charged or anything like that. It's just this idea of these things are going to help us get to that point. Every medical professional that we've talked with and you hear about is saying this is something we need to have happen. And I think especially in our area, places like Texas, Arizona, California, where they're seeing huge spikes, these kind of things can help maybe kind of start to bring it down a little bit and maybe get us to a point where we can actually see a football season. It's not looking, 2 months ago, I would have said, yeah, we're on track. Now I'm thinking more and more that, spring sounds kind of like where we may be headed if things don't kind of get better off in the next couple of weeks.
I'm with you on that. I was really never that bullish on a season. I've always trended on the 1 to 10 scale. I think I got as high as a 4, but I've been around 1 or 2 most of the time. And I never go 0 and I never go 10, but I'm thinking the spring plan may very well happen. Please tell me what you just quote tweeted is not accurate, that an ABC News or at ABC's news Twitter site that Tuscaloosa students diagnosed with COVID-19 have been attending parties as part of a disturbing contest to see who can catch the virus first, a city council member says.
I just saw that story. I'm baffled by this. I mean, I'm the idea that people would think that this is some sort of game to be played with. We've seen so many people who have contracted, COVID, who've had, some of them haven't been able to, have, still are in hospitals or they're going through some terrible times, have lost people. To be able to say this is happening just shows you a disturbing trend. I think that's the concern. When we talk about the NBA and the MLS and professional leagues, they understand they're being paid. They have contracts. They have unions. They understand what's at stake. They're trying their best to make sure everything works out well for them. When we're talking about 18, 19, 20-year-olds, that's where things change a little bit. We're talking about college-age kids. That's why you had cases where, like LSU and Kansas State, where they had to shut down, or Kansas State, where they had to shut down their voluntary workouts because kids went out to parties or because kids went out to a bar and things like that. Because it's hard to tell someone at that age, stay home, sit in your house, don't go out, don't be a college-age kid. Be careful. I think there's this little bit of a feeling that maybe you're invincible because you're young, and that's not going to happen to you. And I've talked to college football players who've contracted this disease, and have said it is the most debilitating thing they've ever gone through. And it's not something to take lightly. So to see a story like that is really disappointing, and really shows us we're trending in the wrong direction when it comes to young people.
Yeah, Matt, I could not agree with you more. Being 25 myself, it's still, even at that age, it's still kind of hard to keep myself from wanting to go out and pretend like nothing's wrong. And to the mask, I when I wasn't wearing one, I got weird looks. Now that it's the city council here in Memphis has said you have to wear it, I wear one, and now I still get weird looks being a young guy from older people that's actually wearing a mask. So I don't know where to win on that.
So true. You wear one, and everybody looks at you like, you big baby, nervous Nelly. You don't wear one, you selfless jerk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
or selfish jerk, not selfless.
Yeah. I think that's going to change. I think you're seeing more and more people trying to make that push, to help and get the word out there. Listen, I haven't actually sat down in a dining room restaurant, and since this has gone on.
Really?
I still order my food and take it home with me. My wife and I are very cautious. We try to, not to the extent of being, but, so scared about it or anything like that, but we're just cautious. We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help out. And I think that's the idea that needs to be presented is, there's a way to live with everything going on, but you just have to be cautious about it because this is how things kind of happen. And washing your hands and wearing masks and keeping yourself spaced is the proper way to do it. It's one of the simplest things we're asking people to do to try to get sports back, to even just try to have a life back. And it's amazing to me how people kind of fight it tooth and nail.
No kidding, Matt. And okay, let's say it is scared, and Brett says, okay, yeah, I'm a big scaredy cat. Call me whatever name you want to call me, but I go back to that famous Twitter. What do they call them? Memes or memes? What are they, Drew?
They're memes.
Memes. Those famous memes. If you think I look goofy in a mask, you ought to see me with a respirator on.
Yeah. I mean, and it's scary. I mean, and people are I guess people don't understand it. I have a mother who's in her late 70s, and she's had been tested 3 times already in the last month and a half because she's had some medical issues. So she's scared at times about it because she's an older person. A lot of older people are like that. I mean, I understand that, but younger people should be as well. I think one of the biggest mistakes we made early on was we said to people it was an older disease. It affected older people more right off the bat. And I think that just gave everyone kind of a sense of feeling that it wasn't going to happen to them. And you may not. Younger people may be able to have the wherewithal to be able to handle it sometimes. But you're seeing more and more cases, especially in our state. The number of cases of people are younger. The age is going down. I think it's in the mid-30s right now, last I looked. So, and as like I've said to people who argue about masks, you're a football fan, right? And they'll say, yeah. And I said, then put a mask on, because if we're not getting this thing handled, we're not playing football in the fall. And you're not watching sports. You're watching whatever replays are out there. You're tired of it for 2 months. Imagine what it's going to be like for the next 6.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Matt. I wear a mask because it's the right thing to do. I wear a mask because I want to see college football. I wear a mask because my grandmother just turned 89, and I don't want to put her in damage in any way, shape, form, or possibility. But back to football, and we're about to, here in the next 20, 30 minutes, we're going to rank SEC quarterbacks. And one person that has really stuck out to me, wondering why the hype is so big on him, is Kyle Trask there at Florida. I've seen plenty of lists where he's top 5. When I initially sat down, I thought he was about a 7 or 8 range guy.
Yeah, he's a guy that I think has really blossomed and benefited from Dan Mullen's tutelage. Here's a guy that Dan Mullen came in when he took that Florida job, that was known for being a quarterback whisperer, so to speak. The guy who could work with guys. Look what he did with Dak Prescott. He's done some amazing things. And what you saw with Kyle Trask is here's a guy who has been a lifelong, basically, backup. In high school, he was a backup. When he was at Florida, he was a backup most of his life. But he's a guy who's super smart, really intelligent, has the physical skills. He sat there and learned. So when his time came up, when Felipe Franks went down with that injury in the Kentucky game, Trask just stepped up and was able to kind of handle everything. And as the season went on last year, you saw him showcase the things that Dan Mullen really was been preaching to his players, and you saw him take advantage of that. So I think having that benefit, being experienced, being an older guy, being a senior guy going into this, even despite everything going on with all the virtual learning and not having much of a spring, kind of spring camp to work through, I think that's just going to help Kyle Trask, to be honest with you, because I think having that leadership, because the players are going to buy into what he's doing. He's got the skill set. Dan Mullen's going to continue to push and get that offense moving. They looked good the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season last year and into their bowl game. I've got them probably being the team that's going to win the SEC East. I think they can upend Georgia this year. I think they're that good. I think Kyle Trask is one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC this year.
And Matt, if we were in more normal times with the normal kind of from this point really starting as we get to July 1st and we head to media days and then camps open and the run up to college football and the hype. And I love that. I love when everyone's undefeated. Nobody's been disappointed yet. I think we would have the Florida, Kyle Trask, Dan Mullen story up there. But here's another one. The reemergence of the SEC East. And maybe this year being the year of the East taking the power baton back from the West.
Yeah, I think this is a good chance. We met, LSU obviously coming off a great year last year, lost a lot of talent, saw their guys go to the NFL. They only returned, I think, 2 starters on offense. They're not going to be nearly as strong as they were last year. Alabama has some question marks. I think maybe Texas A&M could be one of the surprise teams, depending on how Kellen Mond steps up. But you look at the East, and you look at how Florida's going to be. You look at Georgia, even with a new quarterback, they're loaded at defense. This is probably going to be one of the best defenses in the SEC again. Kirby Smart's done a great job there. And then you look at Tennessee, a team that last year, after about the first month of the season, I thought Jeremy Pruitt was going to be fired. I didn't think that Tennessee was playing well at all. Look how they turned things around and where they're at. They're a team that's probably going to be right there as well. And then you go down the list. You look at Kentucky, which has been consistent for a while there. I think, to me, the bigger question mark is going to be South Carolina, with Will Muschamp. He had a bad year last year. Can they bounce back? He made some off-season changes to the staff. They're still dinking around, working on some things. I think South Carolina, if they can come back and showcase themselves a little bit, that's going to be good. And then you look at Missouri making a coaching change and bringing in, Coach Drinkwitz from Appalachian State. I think there's an opportunity there for them to have some big highlights as well. So this is a East that is getting better and better and starting to recruit better. And I think the West right now is going to have to start paying a little bit more attention to it.
And you look at a team like Kentucky with Terry Wilson back healthy this year at quarterback. He got hurt early last year, and the job that they got at quarterback, basically from an extra running back, was tremendous last year. But they got that production because of that offensive line. That job that Mark Stoops has done at Kentucky, it does not get near enough credit, especially over here in the West.
No, it doesn't really. And it really showcased. I know some people were kind of surprised when the Florida State job came open. Mark Stoops' name came up a couple times, and I know people were kind of surprised by that fact, but I wasn't. I mean, you look at the job he's done at Kentucky with the facilities and everything they've been able to kind of grow from that program. To me, it's worked out really well, and I think, it goes to show you why Mark Stoops is kind of hitting his stride right now. And I think they're another program, again, as you mentioned, that just, has some opportunities there. They play Florida early, obviously at Florida the second week of the season, and then they got a kind of a stretch of South Carolina and Auburn, and then at the end of the year they're going to have some tough games with Georgia and Louisville. But this is a Kentucky team that can get there. They can be 6, 7, 8 win season depending on how things go. Again, Terry Wilson played really well, a guy who could step in and do just as well this year, and they've recruited well. So that's again, Stoops has done everything. It's not heard of to hear Stoops doing well in college football.
Yeah, speaking of quarterbacks coming back from injury this year, what is the likelihood on October 16th that I see Mackenzie Milton starting quarterback for the UCF Knights against my Tigers?
Well, Mackenzie's an interesting situation. He was supposed to hear back from his doctors in June. He has been, taking part in spring practice, not running or anything like that. But we did see him throw the football. They've been very cautious. They haven't given the media a lot of opportunity to see him do things. But They put up a lot of videos showing him doing things. He's got a light brace on now. He's been out throwing the football in the off season. Even during the quarantine stuff, he's been out throwing the football around with some receivers. He looks good. If the doctors give him the okay, I'm going to tell you guys, if you're looking for a story that would just be unbelievable, it'd be if Mackenzie Milton comes back and steps on the field and plays. Because his leg, they almost had to take his leg. When he got hurt a couple of years ago. And for him to be able to think about playing would be amazing. I'm still not 100% sure it's going to happen. I think he said 50-50 when I talked to him last time. But again, if the doctors give him the okay and he feels like he's getting better and stronger, I wouldn't be shocked to see him try to push for that starting job. You know what I mean? And it's going to be an incredible scene when he steps on the field in front of fans, and takes the first snap, because I think that would be something that will one of the best stories in quite some time in college football if he's able to do that.
I'm with you. And the quarterback play that they always get out of Central Florida, it's like the quarterback play at Memphis. You can count on that every year. Those two teams are going to get good quarterback play, Matt.
Yeah, very much so. And I think that's one of the things they've done well. Scott Frost before, and then you look at Josh Heupel, the two coaches who've really done a good job recruiting. Dylan Gabriel's a great quarterback. I think people kind of tended to overlook him last year because he was a true freshman and he had a couple, they lost 3 games, but you look at his statistics, he set all sorts of records for at school, over 3,000 yards. He's a guy that, I think with another year under his belt is going to be even better. Laser-like focus. So if Mackenzie's not able to do it, obviously Dylan's going to be the guy. And they're starting to get some younger guys in there as well. As soon as they start recruiting more quarterbacks like that, this is a program and an offense that likes to score up a lot of points and likes to go fast. It's very appealing for kids, and they're doing a good job of getting those kind of kids to come in and play for them.
Matt, always great to catch up with you. Best to you this weekend for Independence Day celebration and going forward during the virus of 2020. I'm sorry I won't see you at SEC Media Days, but maybe if we have college football, I'll see you at a ballpark this fall somewhere, and we'll catch up a long time before that. Thank you, Matt.
No problem, guys. Stay safe, okay?
Appreciate
you got it. Matt Michelle joining us from the Orlando Sentinel talking college football. Drew, when did you first start interning at WHBQ? 2016?
Oh, no. Way before that. I started interning right before Halloween of 2013. I've been
2013.
I've been here for the better half of a decade.
And for the great meltdown of too much noise in the hallway, but we're not going there with this. This is where I'm going with it. Since you've been with us for that time, you have not